Okay, good morning everyone. Let's continue with the human immunodeficiency virus. Yesterday we started with the class and we discussed about the structure of human immunodeficiency virus, and today we are going to see how the life cycle of the human immunodeficiency virus continues. Okay, let's talk about the viral replication and what are the different stages of HIV infection that we are going to see today. So when you talk about the life cycle of human immunodeficiency virus, everywhere or in all the wherever you have heard about the HIV, you would have heard that the HIV virus will be binding to a receptor which is present on the T cell. Those receptors are known as the CD4 receptor. Yesterday also I told you. But remember that only with the CD4 receptor, the viruses cannot do the infection, or viral genome cannot enter inside the T cells only with the CD4 receptor. Along with the CD4 receptor, it need one more receptor. Okay, those receptors are known as the fusogenic receptor. You have to remember this. Fusogenic receptors are required for the proper integration or proper binding of the HIV virus to the T helper cells. So because recently only they have identified that particular receptor, and now many researchers are going on to block this co-receptor which is associated with the CD4 receptor, so that you can control the HIV spread in a human being. Okay, so this is the HIV virus, and this one is the CD4 receptor. Okay, now whenever the person gets a viral infection, so before starting with the life cycle, we'll see how this viral transmission happens in human being. Actually, this virus, human immunodeficiency virus, that is a virus which is similar to simian immunodeficiency virus. So simian immunodeficiency virus is the virus which used to infect monkey. Okay, chimpanzees and monkeys used to get this immunodeficiency virus, and from chimpanzee, when it entered into the human being, they got mutated and they became human immunodeficiency virus. So from chimpanzee, how it got transferred into human being, there are many stories. If you read through the articles which are there in the internet, you can see that there are many theories and many descriptions are there, and so some of the things I'll tell you. In some of the things they say that earlier days the people used to, hunters were there, and those hunters used to hunt the chimpanzee, and they used to eat the raw meat. Without cooking, they used to eat the meat. Through that meat it would have entered. That is one theory. Another one is earlier days there used to be some festivals and all. During that time they used to kill the monkey and put the blood on the body. So when they put the blood on the body, because of small cuts or some through the body openings and all, this virus might have entered into the human body. That is another one. Okay, so these are various assumptions which they say the transmission of this particular virus from monkey to the human being. Okay, now once after entering into the human being, this virus has become mutated and it has become more virulent, and completely it can suppress the immune system of an infected person. Now how human being will get this infection, and you know what are the different ways by which human beings get the HIV infection. One is through the sexual contact. If a partner is having human immunodeficiency virus, from him or her, the other partner can get the infection. Second one, from infected mother to the child, through intraplacental or within the uterus itself. Sometimes the infection can spread to the baby, or when she is feeding the baby, through the breast milk, the virus can pass from mother to the fetus. Okay, and another one is when they go for blood transfusion. Blood transfusion chapter is there, wherein we'll be studying in detail about what are the different processes they do in blood bank to avoid all these infections. So if the blood is contaminated with HIV and from the donor, HIV contaminated blood will be, if it is collected and kept, and when it is transfused into the recipient, there is a chance of spread of virus from that blood into the recipient. That is another one. Third one is drug abusers. Drug abusers, they will use this the same needle. All of them, one group of people you must have seen in movies and all, they'll sit together and they use the same needle. So if one person is infected with the HIV from him, the others can get the infection. And HIV infection, it is not like corona infection, corona or COVID-19 infection. We don't know from how we are going to get it, because through the droplet it will be entering into the human system. But human immunodeficiency viral infection, it will happen most of the time through blood transfusion. It is happening. It is an unknowingly it will be happening. That is also because of if the lab technician, the lab blood bank, if they are not doing it properly, then there is a chance. Otherwise, HIV infection can be completely prevented if people have a control on their behavior. Okay, so it's completely, you can say that this one, it is the transmission of this human immunodeficiency virus is a behavioral problem. Okay, they should not usually the youngsters, very young students and very young people, they will have this fantasy to have all this unprotected sex and all those things. That is the main reason for the transmission of human immunodeficiency virus. And once you get to know that, if you assume that there is a chance of transmission of, there is a chance of this infection, if you assume that you would have got this infection, then immediately if you go to the hospital within 1 or 2 days, there are treatment to kill the virus or eradicate the virus from the body. Okay, so usually people don't go to the hospital because they feel somewhat embarrassed to tell doctor that all these things happened. Okay, so this is as I told you, it's completely a behavioral problem. If people behave properly, then this infection can be prevented. Okay, so we'll move on to the life cycle. So we have to write about the mode of transmission of human immunodeficiency virus from in human being. So when you talk about the life cycle, as I told you, this yesterday I told you that human immunodeficiency virus can infect 2 types of cells. One is T helper cell, another one is the macrophages. So there are 2 types of HIV. One is known as M-tropic, another one is known as the T-tropic. M-tropic are the human immunodeficiency virus which has affinity for macrophages. T-tropic are the one which has affinity for the T cells. Whether it is macrophage or T cell, they will have this particular receptor. In the case of macrophages, they have this fusogenic receptor or a co-receptor that is called as CCR5. And in the case of T helper cell, the co-receptor which is present is known as CXCR4. So two co-receptors are there, both in 2 different types of cells. If the virus is infecting macrophages, after binding to the CD4, they will use this co-receptor which is there on the plasma membrane, that is called as CCR5. I have drawn in this diagram also. And another one, which if it is infecting the T helper cell, the co-receptor which is there is known as CXCR4. Clear? So that you have to remember always CCR5 and CXCR4. You can see clearly in this diagram, first HIV bind to the CD4. Yesterday's class I told you that glycoprotein projections which are there on the HIV surface, that is the one which will be binding to the CD4 receptor. Okay, so glycoprotein 120 that bind to the CD4 receptor. Once after binding, so this is the first step. Okay, first step of infection is binding of HIV to the CD4 receptor. Once after binding, you can see here in this diagram, the CD4 will get the virus near the vicinity of the fusogenic receptor. What are the fusogenic receptor? CXCR4 or CCR5. So this CD4, after binding to the HIV, they will get the virus near the fusogenic receptor. Now you can see here the virus is near the vicinity of this CCR5 or the CXCR4. And once after binding there, the plasma membrane of the infected cell and the plasma membrane of the virus will fuse. Can you see here? This is the third step. So the fusion of the membrane of HIV with the membrane of the T helper or the macrophages. Now it has fused, and the outside thing is enveloped, and within that, yesterday's class I told you that there is a nuclear core is there, right? So the nuclear core along with the nucleic acid and the enzymes. You remember the structure of the virus? It has RNA genome which is associated with 3 different types of enzyme, 2 copies of reverse transcriptase, protease and the integrase. That nucleic acid along with the enzyme which is covered with the nuclear core that enter into the cell. Okay. So within the cell, the nuclear core will be digested. You remember that I told you about the protease enzyme which is there along with the genome. Those protease enzyme will help in the removal of this nuclear core. Okay, nuclear core is the cover, the protective cover which protects the nucleic acid. Once the envelope is removed, the nuclear core will be digested with the help of the protease enzyme which is there in the HIV genome, which is associated with the HIV genome. So the nuclear pore complex will be released out and the RNA genome enter, or it will be released into the cytoplasm. And as soon as the RNA is released into the cytoplasm, the reverse transcriptase enzyme which is there associated with the genome that get activated, that will make a DNA copy. So you can see here it's a DNA RNA copy. RNase enzyme which is there in the host is used to digest the RNA. Okay, here this is RNA DNA hybrid. Now once after that the RNA should be digested. For that digestion they use RNase enzyme which is there in the host, and then DNA polymerase of the host is used for making the complementary DNA. So once the complementary DNA is synthesized, this one will enter into the it enters into the nucleus, integrates with the host DNA. Clear? So the double stranded DNA will be formed, and this double stranded DNA enter into the nucleus with the help of integrase enzyme which is there within the HIV, that will help in the integration. Okay, so nowadays the most famous word is Atmanirbhar. Okay, we have to have everything which is made by ourselves. And similarly, the HIV has everything with it. It has the genome, it has 3 different types of enzyme, one for making the DNA copy, another one for making integration possible, and another enzyme which is needed for the degradation of the nuclear core. Everything is there with them, and they make the DNA copy, and the DNA enter into the nucleus, integrate with the host genome. Now, once it integrates there, this stage is known as the proviral stage. Okay, provirus. It is the viral integrated cells are known as the provirus. Okay, so in the case of lambda bacteriophage life cycle, you know that there is a formation of prophage. What is prophage? When the phage genome integrates with the host genome, and if it remains in the lysogenic stage, it is called as the prophage. So here also the viral genome integrates there, and the genome will be there for a integrated form. It can be there for a longer time, so that stage is known as the provirus. Whenever it gets the proper condition, during that time gene expression happens, transcription happens, and RNA copies will be formed. Half of the RNA enter into the splicing, the processing of RNA, mRNA will be formed. Other half of the RNA, without processing, it leaves the nucleus, enter into the cytoplasm. This is a very important point to remember. Gene expression of the HIV DNA happens, RNA will be formed, all the RNAs are there in the nucleus. Then the RNA processing happens. You know RNA processing and mRNA formation. Imagine that there are 100 RNA. This is just an example. Please don't write 150 and all. For understanding, making you people understand, I am telling. Imagine that there are 100 RNA. Out of 100, 50 will enter for the RNA processing and mRNA will be formed. Other 50, without entering into the splicing mechanism, they leave the nucleus and comes out of the nucleus. Okay, this is the unspliced RNA. Fine. Unspliced RNA, after entering into the cytoplasm, that will be utilized, or that will be used as the genome of the newly formed virus. So all the capsid protein synthesis happens, and once the capsid protein once the capsid proteins are synthesized, the RNA will be packed inside and new viruses will be formed. So in yesterday's class, while discussing about the genome of the virus, I told you about one of the protein P19 which is expressed from the REV gene, that will help in the export of unspliced RNA from the nucleus. The product of the REV gene, REV gene, which is known as P19, that will bind to the RNA. Whichever RNA binds with the P19, that without entering into the splicing, they leave the nucleus, enter into the cytoplasm, and the P19 will help in maintaining this RNA in the cytoplasm without undergoing degradation. So the mRNA which is formed, that will enter into the translation, because in the cytoplasm there will be free ribosomes will be there. Free ribosomes bind with that, and the translation happens, and all the viral proteins are synthesized. You tell me what are the different viral protein: glycoprotein 40, 41, glycoprotein 120, then the nuclear core protein, and all the enzymes, 3 different types of enzyme: protease, integrase, and the reverse transcriptase. All those proteins will be synthesized in the cytoplasm. Once everything is synthesized, the assembly process happens. For the assembly also, some of the proteins which are expressed from the genome, that is VPU, viral protein U, and viral protein U is the one which will help in the assembly and budding. So viral protein U that express and produce a protein called as P16 that will help in the viral assembly. So P16 will bring all this core protein, all the proteins which are synthesized from this mRNA translation, that will that protein will get all these proteins to the near the plasma membrane of the infected cell, and then the genome, the unspliced RNA which exit from the nucleus, that will be packed, and the new viruses will be formed. Those viruses, it comes out of the infected cell. So these are the new viral particles. Very easy, very interesting thing. And whenever it is asked in the examination, you have to make a neat label diagram and explain the process. Okay, so if you people were in the class, I would have asked one of you to explain it. Okay, that was really, I miss the real classroom, this virtual classrooms and all. It is not working, and I really don't know whether you people are understanding. Okay, if you people were in the class, I would have asked 2-3 people to get up and tell me or explain the life cycle. Okay, so I really miss those things. I don't know whether you people miss it. I really miss my real classroom teaching. Okay, so the stages involved in the replication are, I have written here: HIV fusion to the host cell membrane, fusogenic receptors are involved, CCR5 and CXCR4. Main receptor is CD4. Nuclear capsid with the genome enter the cell, and reverse transcription happens. After the reverse transcription, double-stranded DNA enter into the nucleus and integrate with the host genome with the help of integrase, and then it can be there in that proviral stage for a longer time, and whenever it gets the real proper condition, then it enters into the gene expression process. Okay, the gene expression process meaning it undergoes transcription and translation, and after the transcription, how much of our RNAs are formed, out of that half of the RNA without entering into the RNA processing mechanism leave the nucleus, whereas the other RNA undergo processing and mRNA will be formed. Those mRNA bind with the free ribosomes. In the cytoplasm, free ribosomes will be there. Those ribosomes associate with this mRNA, and then proteins will be synthesized. What are those proteins? Glycoprotein and the nuclear core protein, and then all the different enzymes, everything will be formed after the translation, and the packing aging happens near the membrane of the infected cell. Viral assembly happens. After the capsid arrangement, the unspliced RNA which is there, that will be packed inside the capsid. New virions, millions of virions will be formed, and all those viruses leave the cell, infected cell, and it is ready for infecting the next cell. Now there are different types of treatments we'll be discussing in the coming classes. One of the major treatment what they are doing now is like targeting on this fusogenic receptor, thereby the fusion, the integration won't happen, and there are many medicines are there which will block the RNA integration and all those things, because which can cleave the RNA. So that similar drugs are used for treating COVID-19 also, because COVID-19 is also an RNA virus. Okay. Spliced RNA undergoes translation, viral assembly, and release of the virus. It's very easy. I think it is easy for all of you. Now we'll start with the stages of HIV infection. There are 3 major stages of HIV infection. Okay, once a person get the HIV infection, there are 3 stages. What are the 3 stages? Number 1, acute infection. Second one is known as clinical latency or latent phase. Third one is known as the crisis phase. Crisis phase is the real condition of AIDS, acquired immunodeficiency disorder. Okay. Now first we'll start with the acute infection. In the case of acute infection, the initial infection with the HIV. So after having unwanted whatever with the infected person, if a person get to know that he has got this, he must have got this infection, immediately after 1 or 2 days, as I told you earlier, if we go to hospital, they will give the antiviral drugs, or the drugs which can degrade the RNA of the virus. Then he can survive for a longer time. Otherwise, it is very, very risky. Okay. Now, once immediately after the infection, the people will be asymptomatic. Most of the people will be asymptomatic. Here in COVID-19 cases also that is happening. So, once after viral infection, if your immune system is good, you will be asymptomatic. What do you mean by asymptomatic? You have the virus in your body, but you will not be showing any of the symptom of this HIV infection. So, usually this HIV infection, it will be happening in this truck drivers and long journey. Whoever does this long journey, from one state to the other state, and they'll be traveling in truck. You must have seen when you go pass through the highway, you must have seen that big truck filled with different types of vehicles, cars, and different things will be passed, transporting from one state to the other state. So when they move through the road on the national highways, you can see that there are many dhabas. Okay, all those dhabas, along with the food, they will be giving other facilities for the drivers. Meaning, in the dhabas, there will be sex workers will be there. Okay, so whenever they will have a unprotected relationship with those ladies, and what will happen is they will carry the virus. Okay, they will move from that place to other place, and in the next dhaba, which is there in the next state, there also they will have the same thing. Whoever is there in that dhaba, that lady, poor lady, if she is not having HIV infection, from him she can get it. Okay, this man will finish all his travel throughout India, deliver his goods to different places, and he goes back to his native. There also he will spread it to his wife who is there at home. She will get the infection, and like that only most of the time. So if you see the statistics of this one, you can see that mostly the infected people are this kind of people who will be traveling from one place to another place, and who will have so much of fantasy. Okay, and all those things, they will get the infection. So always you should have a control on your mind and behavior, then you can escape from this infection. Okay, so this is just a lighter note I am telling. No need of writing all those things, just you have to understand how it gets transmitted from one person to the other person. As I told you, patients will be asymptomatic. As I told you, the driver, after getting the infection, he will be asymptomatic. Wherever he goes to that dhabas, as I told you, he will spread this virus to the poor ladies who is there in that areas. Okay, and sometimes people will have slight flu-like symptoms, like fever will be there, sore throat will be there, little tired feeling. However, you get a viral fever or flu, your body symptoms are there. You will have a headache, and then high temperature will be there. You feel very lethargic, tired behavior will be there. So all those things can be seen because it's a viral. So as soon as the virus enters, your body's immune system get activated, the temperature increases, and all those symptoms can be seen. During this particular stage, okay, this is the stage, this particular stage, asymptomatic stage, is contagious. Okay, that the person who has that virus, viral load will be more, because the virus within that 7 days of time period, the infection happens, and many millions of virus will be formed in the person. Okay, now this condition, this particular stage is known as the viremia. Viremia is the stage that happens in the acute infection. So whatever I am telling now, that is about the acute infection. As soon as he gets the infection, the viral multiplication cycle happens, and he will have so much of viral load. Viral load means number of viruses in his serum, it will be more. That condition is known as the viremia. Okay, viremia will be there. Because of that, he will have light flu-like symptoms will be there, and the body will start producing antibody, viremia, and one more stage, viruses will be more, and also after a few days you can see that in the serum antibodies will be there. That stage is known as the seroconverted stage. What do you mean by seroconverted stage? Serum, it getting converted. Serum will have antibodies for HIV, thereby that stage is known as the seroconverted. Thereby, during the acute infection stage, if a person go to the hospital to check, as I told you, if he knows that, if he or she knows that he would have got this HIV infection, within 1 week of time period, he should go to the hospital. When he get this flu-like symptoms and all, go to the hospital. They do a testing, and with the testing, they can identify whether he has virus. Antigen can be checked, even antibody can be checked. What is antigen? Viruses. So ELISA testing, all of you know that. You will be studying ELISA also in another chapter. It is there. ELISA can be used for checking antigen. ELISA can be used for checking antibodies also. Okay, that difference I will tell you later. So viral load will be more, and also you can see antibodies in the serum, because immune system will be producing the antibody. That stage is known as the seroconverted stage. And there will be a drop in the CD4 T cells, because the infection happens as soon as the viruses comes out of the infected cell. CD4 population will be decreased. Viremia, or increase in virus but decrease in the CD4 T cell. What is CD4 T cell? T helper cells. Okay, so immune system develops. T helper cell will be less, and since you have an infected cell, T cytotoxic cell level will be more. Okay, usually T helper cell level will be more in the body during the HIV infection. Since T helper cell is getting infected, because of that, T cytotoxic number of T cytotoxic cells in the body will be more. Okay, these are the different things you can see in the acute infection. So acute infection, initial infection with HIV, patients are asymptomatic, and there will be flu-like symptoms, fever, sore throat and tired feeling will be there. This will be extended to 2 to 3 weeks. Viremia will be there, increase in the viral load, drop in CD4 T cells. Immune system will start developing T cytotoxic cells. So this stage, you can see the antibodies in the serum. That stage is known as seroconverted stage. This is the stage. Acute infection stage is the contagious stage. He or she can transmit the disease to other people. Okay, flu-like symptoms when they have, whoever has this infection, when they see this flu-like symptoms, if that person think that he has exposed to virus, immediately he has to seek medical help. Fine. Now the next stage is known as clinical latency, or the latent phase. Now this particular stage is very, very dangerous. Okay, so what happens is during this particular stage, the proviral stage will be there. The viral genome gets integrated with the T helper cell genome, and it will be there for a longer time in the latent stage. That stage is known as the latent phase. It can last for 15 years also. That is again asymptomatic. You cannot identify antigen or antibody in the serum. Viral replication rate will be very less because it is in the proviral stage. Decline in CD4 cells, and lymphocytes, lymph nodes will have more amount of virus will be there, and thereby you can see the lymph node swelling can be seen. That is the only thing that can be seen in the chronic latent phase. So lymph nodes that is a predominant location for the infected cell. All the T helper cells which are infected with the HIV virus, that will be located in the lymph node, and thereby you can see lymphoadenopathy. This is also an asymptomatic stage. Okay, clinical latency, that is at a particular point the HIV DNA get integrated there, and it will be there in the proviral stage for a longer time. 15 years also it can be there in the proviral stage. You cannot detect antigen or antibody because viral replication is not happening, and antibody is also not synthesizing. No antigen or no antibody, but the CD4 population will be little less. But in the beginning it will be more less. In the second stage it will be little less. The last stage is known as the crisis phase. The third stage of HIV infection is known as crisis phase. Crisis phase is the AIDS. Okay, and this particular stage will have a very badly damaged immune system. So in the crisis phase, people will have a very badly damaged immune system. Thereby they will be prone to all the other infection. So people, yesterday also I told you, they don't die because of HIV infection, they die because of opportunistic infection. Since your immune system is completely down, okay, T helper cells are completely damaged, thereby it cannot synthesize cytokine. If it is not synthesizing cytokine, B cell activation won't be happening. T cytotoxic population will also be less because cytokines are not there. Thereby complete damage to the immune system happens, and thereby during this crisis phase you can see different stages. One is known as unusual malignancies will be there, then opportunistic infection can happen, and also you can see neurological syndromes. Okay, so unusual malignancies, unusual infections can be seen, unusual symptoms can be seen in the patient. Then you can see opportunistic infection, and also you can see another problem in the AIDS patient, that is neurological symptoms. So opportunistic infection means all possible viruses, fungus and protozoans, they will try to infect the person because their immune system is very low. So the AIDS patients will get candidiasis, fungal infection, cryptococcus. Okay, these two are fungal infection, and parasitic infections can be seen, and bacterial infection, lymphoma can be seen, carcinoma, and then all possible infections can be seen in the AIDS patients. They will have a huge sudden weight loss will be there, fever can be seen, and also you can see swollen lymph node. Lymph node will be completely swollen because all the the infected T helper cells will be accumulated into the into the lymph node. Patients will be prone to tuberculosis, pneumonia, diarrhea and other malignancies. This HIV infection will lead to death. Okay, 9 to 12 years, or if it is there in the latent stage of 15 years, they will be surviving for another 2 more years. Okay, severe diseases, different dreadful diseases can be seen in them. Primary infection time, they will have fever, swollen lymph node, rashes, and then later they can see they will have tuberculosis, pneumonia, diarrhea and other malignancies. During the primary infection, sores in the mouth ulcers will be there, cough, muscle ache, and significant weight loss will be there, loss of appetite and increased protein metabolism. Because of that, weight loss can be seen, and absorption won't be happening in the intestine. Neurological problems can be seen, lymphoma, cervical cancer and pneumonia. Okay, so whenever a person has this HIV infection, T helper cell number will be less, antibody production will be very less, cytokine production is less, and you can see delayed hypersensitivity reaction, and T cytotoxic level also will be very less, and dysfunction of the nervous system. Okay, so these are the various aspects about the HIV life cycle and the different stages of HIV infection. In the next class, we will be discussing about the various treatments which are available to treat HIV, or therapeutic agents, and that are therapeutic agents which are used to keep the viral infection under control. There is no cure for AIDS. You can just keep the viral infection under control by using various methods which we will be discussing in the coming classes. Thank you so much.